and welcome to this week's edition of the PDR podcast. I'm Jason.
Trent.
He's back.
I'm back.
Applause.
It's only been like a week. You guys act like this.
I know, it feels like it's been forever, though.
I just missed 1 week, but
Yeah,
we're back.
Still feels like forever. But anyways, we're back at it, and we're going to jump right in. Are you ready to jump right in?
Let's do it.
Do you want to go first? You or me?
I usually go first. You go first this time.
Okay.
We've been listening to.
What have I been listening to? You should have let me go second. But I've got a long list of notes for this week. First thing I've been listening to, a lot of Screaming Trees.
Okay.
Mark Lanigan.
Yep.
It's almost like I've kind of gone back and rediscovered them again.
Okay.
They're one of those Seattle bands that never really, they hit it big, but they're not one of the names you would know when you think about that. So I've listened to a lot of Screaming Trees. There's another band that I've went back and listened to their album a few times. There's a good friend of mine named Mark, and he was in a band called Proto.
Okay.
And they recorded, I think they recorded 2 albums. The first one is self-titled, and you can get it on iTunes. But it's been a blah, blah, blah week. Last 2 weeks have been. And yep. I don't know about you, but like when I'm in those just kind of funk moods, I gravitate towards music that takes me back a little bit. Mm-hmm. This album, it's like they were a mixture of like the proggy side of Tool / A Perfect Circle with like a mix of early Chevelle.
Okay.
They're really, 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 really good band, and you can get their album on iTunes. One of them. I don't know about the other one, but I know their first little album they made is on iTunes, and I listened to it a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, and just kind of took me back to that time. There's a band called Ten Commandos.
Okay.
All right. It's only 2 guys I know from it are Ben Shepherd and Matt Cameron from Soundgarden. Got different singers on just about every song, but I've been listening to a lot of it. And then the main thing I've been listening to, of course, is Pearl Jam. So since we last met, a new single's been dropped last week. It's called Running. And I'm interested to get your take on it as well. And I was going to use this time to kind of give my overall thoughts and review on the song.
Okay.
So, first of all, the new album's less than a month out.
Mm-hmm.
Super excited. So I'm still playing Pearl Jam constantly. When I'm in the truck, PJ radio's on, just nonstop. Last Tuesday night, I think it was either, I don't remember, Tuesday, Thursday, I can't remember. But anyways, whatever night it was last week, the new single was going to be dropping at 11 o'clock our time. So we stayed up for it, and everybody else was asleep. So, of course, I get out my phone, and I do the Trent. I play it on my phone. And my initial reaction was like, wow, this is a lot of noise. This is a very noisy song, and I can't tell what's going on. So I went to bed thinking, I'm kind of disappointed. And I got up the next morning and played it 3 or 4 times on the way to work in my truck, in an actual sound system. And boy, oh boy, I have a feeling this new Pearl Jam album, if you're listening to it on your phone through your iPhone speakers, you're going to be really disappointed because the song really comes alive through some speakers. It's a punk leaning song, a little chanty. Mm-hmm. It's definitely got the same kind of production value that Dark Matter has. Mm-hmm. It took a minute, but it grew on me real fast, and I like it a lot. It's very fast. The breakdown and the bridge is super cool. I'm shocked and kind of surprised that the second single they put out for the album was a 2-minute long little punk song. Mm-hmm. I was kind of surprised and taken aback by that, and a lot of people on the forums were too.
Yep.
But having said that, the more I listen to it, the more I like it, and I can't wait to see how it fits into the rest of the album. I think it's going to be track 8 on the
Yeah, it was
album.
like 7 or 8, I think. Yeah.
So it's on the back half, and usually on the back half of the Pearl Jam albums, it's the deeper cuts. Not usually something that's going to be a single. So I'm really interested. But overall, I like it. I like it. It's not. I'm going to warn everybody, and I'm going to tell you: stop listening to music through your iPhone speaker, because it just doesn't do justice to what the artist is putting out.
Right.
Some of it maybe, but like something like this it really shines when you play it through some speakers. There was something I wanted to mention. Do you know who Matt Pinfield is?
I don't think so.
So back in the 90s, there was a show on MTV called 120 Minutes. Come on at midnight on Saturday nights. And Matt Pinfield was the host.
Okay.
And it was where you went to watch like the alternative, weird, whatever, like what is this music?
Gotcha.
So every Saturday night, I would watch Headbangers Ball, and then I would watch 120 Minutes. And of course, MTV is a thing of the past, but Matt Pinfield is still pretty big in radio. And he tweeted while he was working out one day. This is what he tweeted. This got me excited. Love this new Pearl Jam, and it is the perfect soundtrack for a workout. Can't wait for the full album to be released on April 19th. Celebrating being alive every morning with songs of power and substance. That in and of itself is a pretty big endorsement in my book, because Matt Pinfield's a pretty big voice. But somebody commented on it and said, have you heard the whole album? If so, how is it? Heavy riffs, leads? And Matt Pinfield's response was, let's just say it's my favorite album, period, in years by anyone. So that got me, that's a pretty big endorsement. And a lot of people on the forums are like, nah, it's Matt Pinfield, he's crazy. But I think that's a pretty big deal. So that got me real excited. And I didn't need it, but I am so ready for April 19th. I cannot wait. So I've been listening to a lot of other stuff, but I'm still going back to Pearl Jam constantly. So that's it for me. What have you been listening to?
Well, first I'll go back to.
Oh yeah, your thoughts.
But you said a lot of kind of what I felt and thought. At first, I was like, "This is a lot going on," so I had to listen to it a couple times. I think I like Dark Matter better.
I do too.
But it's similar, like I told you, Dark Matter. The first time I heard it, I was like, eh, and then the more I listened to it, the more I like it. But it was definitely a lot going on. I was also kind of surprised that they released, like, I think it's like 2 minutes and 11 seconds, like really, really short.
It's a super short.
And so I was kind of shocked that was the second release that they put out. So a lot of what you said is kind of what I thought and felt. But yeah.
Did it grow on you?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame you if it didn't.
Oh, it did. Yeah. It did. Yeah.
All right, cool. What else you been listening to?
So what I wrote down was a little bit of my normal music, and then also kind of some, I guess, kind of my normal music as well, just kind of taken back, like you said. But I wrote down Muscadine Bloodline,
Cool.
Charlie Crockett, Max McNown, Noah Kahan. Those are all kind of my.
Is it Kahan or Kahan?
I thought it was Kahan. Maybe it's Kahan.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure it's Kahan, but I could be
No
wrong.
idea.
So those are kind of my normal go-tos. The other ones I wrote down that were kind of my normal go-to years ago that I've kind of been getting back into, AFI, Mayday Parade, Go Radio, and A Day to Remember. They're all kind of like punk, alternative, early 2000s.
Mayday for my homework.
Okay, yeah.
What was the third one you said?
Either Go Radio or
Go
A Day to
Radio.
Remember.
I've never heard of them.
They're kind of like alternative punk a little bit. I think I found them listening to Blink 182. They're not as punk as Blink 182, but they're similar to Mayday Parade.
There are old men out there right now saying, "Punk? That's not punk."
Yeah, well,
But
it's not.
It's punk.
Yeah.
It is. It's punk.
It's not Dropkick Murphys punk. But
No. Well, I mean, we're not on a ship sailing
the
to
pirate.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
pirates.
But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what I wrote down. So I had a little bit of different genres, but little bit of everything there. So
Nice.
that's kind of what I've been listening to the last couple weeks.
All right, so moving on to homework. What was your homework?
Well, you had given me homework, and then later in the week you said I gave you the wrong homework.
So I'm driving around and I turn on his homework because I want to listen to it, and I'm like, wait a minute, I totally told him the wrong song. So
I might have mixed up because I wrote both. I ended up doing both since you
Oh.
changed it. So I did both. I did both songs. So I think the original homework you gave me was Metallica, Low Man Lyric.
yeah, that's not what I meant.
That's
It's
what
still
you
a
meant.
good song.
Yeah, so I
but
wrote down. I'll put what I put on that. I said to me it wasn't what I would say Metallica's normal sound. It was slower and
some
not
weird instruments in it.
weird instruments, not as loud, not as hard, not as heavy. I'd never heard the song. It's about a man suffering through life, longing for another chance. So it was a good song. Would listen to it again. Like I said, not what I would think of.
Right.
The
Metallica.
Metallica
you would-
sound. Yeah, The hits. That's kind of
If
what
you
I
ask
listen
somebody
to.
what's your favorite Metallica song, no one's going to say.
No one's gonna say
Romance
that.
Lyric.
Yeah, so that's what I first did. But then you told me that my actual homework was supposed to be "Mama Said"
Yes.
by Metallica. So I wrote on here, said, let's do it a couple times. Like it has a country / blues feel. So it's a
Yeah.
little different as well. Again, not Metallica's normal sound, other type of music. About a man's or boy's journey through figuring out life away from his mother.
It's his kind of story of growing up with, I don't know. For me, it's like a different side of James Hetfield.
Yep.
And I always thought, from what I understand, the story behind it is him growing up in a real conservative family,
Mhm.
real religious family, and him kind of rebelling from that. And then it's almost like looking back on it, it's like, him reconciling that with who he
He
is.
is now. Yep.
I always thought it was a cool song.
Yeah, but I liked it. I liked it.
I think James Hetfield from Metallica, I think if he ever were to do some solo stuff, I think it would be a lot of like country sounding,
Yeah, bluesy, country.
bluesy, really heartfelt stuff.
Yep, I can see that.
But Metallica is a brand, and they're going to push that brand until they can't stand
Right.
up anymore, which is
It's understandable. Why would
fine with me, you know. Is that it?
That was it for the songs.
All right. So, Muscadine Bloodline,
I'm curious to see where we.
Teenage Angst was my homework.
Yep.
And I'd known about this little EP,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd never actually sat and listened to it all.
Okay.
Mainly because, I've never been a huge fan of the poppy punk,
Alternative punk.
the
Yeah.
alternative punk, whatever it's called. I've never been a big fan of it, so it never really drew to me. But I went over and beyond,
Okay.
over and above
All
in
right.
my
Above and
homework.
beyond. Yep.
And I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as I can so I don't take up too much time.
Okay.
But I gave this a real shot. So what I did is I listened to the original version,
Okay.
and then I listened to their
Yours.
version
Okay.
afterwards.
Good.
So, excuse me. So here's what I wrote. Yellow card, only one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I like it. Was never really into the poppy punk of the early aughts,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a good song. I did like the song. Yellow Card's version.
Mm-hmm.
It's very typical of and this is where I felt like you because of it's typical Pearl Jam, It's very typical of the power pop ballad of that era.
Mm-hmm.
And it is.
Yep,
it's
for sure.
very,
I feel like
It's a-
all Yellow Card. What a little bit. What I know about Yellow Card is.
but it's a decent song.
Yeah.
It's a decent song. It reminds me of My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
I don't know why. They're more emo-ish or whatever. But
Yep.
and side note, I like
Yeah,
My
I like
Chemical
it.
Romance.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay, Muscadine Bloodlines version. I love how stripped down this version is. This version serves the song's lyrics so much better than the original.
Yep.
I love it. I love it.
Cool.
So much better than Yellow Card.
Yep.
And I know they wrote it, and it's their song, but I'm telling you, can I call them, what's short for Muscadine Bloodline?
MB, I guess.
MB. MB's version kills it.
Yep.
All right, second song, Blink-182's Adam Song. All right, I know this song, and I've always loved it. I love this. I don't love the story behind it, but the story behind it gives it a lot of gravity.
Yep.
And I won't go into it, but it's very tragic. Very tragic. Not being a huge fan of this era's music, I always loved this song. It's so sad, but it's very beautiful, like the arrangement. All right, MB's version. Wow. Very different feel than the Blink-182 version. Very country. I don't get the emotional sadness of the original. It's good, but it don't touch the original. Right on the verge of being a little too country for me. The guitar at the end kind of pulled me back in, though. All right?
Okay.
So, and in my opinion, Adam's song, that's one of the greatest songs to come out of the early 2000s.
Yep.
I love that song. I bought that CD. I think it's Pack Your Bags and something. I don't remember the name of the CD or song. But I bought that CD just because of that song back in the day. All right, number 3, Jimmy Eat World, Hear You Me. I never lumped Jimmy Eat World in with the punk era, the early 2000s punk. I really liked them, and I love that Bleed American album, and I love this song. I always thought it was an emotionally moving song. Love the build towards the end. It's a great ballad. And I was a fan of Jimmy Eat World back in the day. I liked their stuff.
Sure.
We saw them at Memphis in May one year, and they put on one heck of a show. They were good.
Yeah.
All right, MB's version. I hadn't read this in a minute. I said, where are these guys from? Very strong Southern accent. Very stripped down intro. It's wild how these songs translate so well into country. Not as good as Jimmy Eat World, but still good. And I miss the female voice from the original version. But all in all, it's a really solid cover.
They're from Alabama, by the way.
It
They
shows.
live in Nashville now, but they're from
It
Alabama.
shows because them boys are country. All right, number 4. This is the last track. Mayday Parade. Jamie All Over. I'm not familiar with them whatsoever. It's okay. Another typical of that,
Yep.
power pop punk. I feel like I've heard it, but most of these groups, after a while, kind of sound similar to me. I guess I'm just an old man. Not too crazy about Mayday Parade's song. MB version. Just started and I already like it better. I think I gravitate more to the stripped down stuff that they do. I will say this though, lyrically, this band is great. It's baffling to me that I didn't notice until I heard the Muscadine Bloodline version how deep lyrically that song was. This version is superior to the original.
Okay.
Overall thoughts, Trent. I liked it for the most part. Some of it was a little too country for my taste, but all in all, it's pretty good. Very good. I love the Muscadine Bloodline version of Only One and Jamie All Over.
Yep. I think those are.
So that is my.
I appreciate the effort you put into it. You did a lot more than I did.
Well, I enjoyed it, and the front and the end of the EP, those two songs, what were they?
One and only, or only one, and
And what was the
what
last
name was
one?
the last one?
Anyways, Jamie All Over.
Jimmy Oliver. Yep.
Those two songs are their versions of them, hands down. Yellow Card and the other band should be ashamed. Because Muscadine Bloodline
Yep.
completely took their songs and made me understand what they were actually saying and
lyrics
talking
were,
about. Yeah, it was really good EP. I enjoyed it.
Cool. I'm glad.
So, new homework.
All right.
You want to go first? You want me to?
I'll go first.
All right. So my new homework for you. A couple weeks ago, I talked about Poor Old Lou. You may not remember. That's how much of an impact I made. Poor Old Lou is a band I grew up listening to. I grew up loving this band.
Okay.
All of their stuff is on iTunes. So I'm going to give you 2 albums, and I'm going to let you pick which one. Okay?
Okay.
So it's totally on you. The 2 albums that I think would, if there's any interest, if you like them at all, it would be because of one of these 2 albums. The first one's called Straight Six,
Okay.
and I'll send these to you.
Okay.
And the second one is called Picture of the Eighth Wonder. So Straight Six is short. It's like a 5-song EP. It's a lot of acoustic stuff, probably more up your alley.
Okay.
And Picture of the Eighth Wonder is a band at the end of their, well, they got back together once, but at the end of their journey, okay? And this was a band, I would compare them to somebody like Screaming Trees.
Okay.
All right, so Screaming Trees is a amazing band, but never got the attention they deserve. I feel like Poor Old Lou was the same. You know, back in that scene, you had MXPX, you had all these really good bands, but Poor Old Lou was kind of in the background. And I really, for some reason, I really think you might dig them.
Okay.
So that's your homework. Poor Old Lou, either Straight Six or Picture of the Eighth Wonder.
Okay.
And if you're an overachiever like me,
You can do both.
you'll do both.
All right. Sweet. All right. Your homework. Do you know a lot about Dirty Heads? Do you know anything about the Dirty Heads?
I have a dirty head.
Okay. Well, when I'm doing homework, I'm trying to find things that you don't know, but I didn't know if you knew them or not.
I never heard of it.
And this comparison isn't a good one because they're really not like them, but the music, especially the songs I'm going to give you, are nothing really like this. But the closest thing that I can come up with off the top of my head quickly that you would know is they kind of remind me of Sublime, like that type of music. They have a couple different albums. They actually have a album that they came out in 2021, I think, and then they did an extended version in 2022. But Record Store Day, they're coming out with another version that has the first 2 versions, and then the third is acoustic, and it's going to be on there as well. So I said it wrong.
Try again.
No, you always correct me. Anyways, 3 LP coming out on Record Store Day. The Screaming Trees have something coming out on Record Store Day as well. So Dirty Heads that's one of my on my want list. Their album. But anyways,
Awesome.
that was a lot and a little bit back to where I'm at.
I didn't hear anything after acoustic.
So, Dirty Heads is your homework. 2 songs. First one is Vacation. That's the very first song I heard by them.
You're going to send me this, right?
I'll send you both.
Okay.
But, Vacation is the first song, and the second one is Cabin by the Sea.
Okay.
Those are like the first 2 songs that really got me introduced into.
So they're like
Dirty
a
Heads.
newer band? Or?
Mid or like 2012 to current, I guess, kind of. I mean, they probably did stuff before that, but that's like their main albums from like 2012.
Cool.
But yeah, so that's your homework. Cabin by the Sea and Vacation by the Dirty Heads.
Dirty Heads.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And all their albums have like cool like artwork, and like you can like Dirty Heads, you can kind of imagine they're like hippie-ish and kind of, so they're
Tweaking out.
Yeah, so they're the album like cover work and that kind of stuff's pretty cool.
Cool.
There, so.
I'm excited.
Yep. All right.
All right. Well, each week we pick a new topic. This week's topic, we'll call it this week's segment. That's what we're going to start calling this.
Segment.
This week's segment.
Okay.
So this week's segment, and I sent this to him in a text, and it wasn't until after I sent it that I realized, oh wait a minute, this could like go a few different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we both got on the same wavelength here. This week's segment is the top 3 songs right now, and not all, I mean, it doesn't have to be all time or whatever, but top 3 songs that hit you. I think I originally wrote that hit.
The hit.
Yeah. What I meant was like that hit you, like emotionally, whether it's the lyrics, music, whatever it is, 3 songs that just hit you right here, or right here, or whatever. So, you want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
It doesn't matter either way.
I'll go first.
Okay, go
and
first.
you'll know why.
Okay.
I go first.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, my number 1 song that really hits me, all right, is Nutshell from Alice in Chains. And I know, and I wrote this down, I have talked about this song ad nauseum. I know that. But when I really started thinking about why that song hits me the way it does, I started thinking back to being, 13, 14 years old and hearing that for the first time and hearing the pain and the desperation in what he was saying and not understanding it, but feeling his emotion through it and how it hit me then. And then, 25, 30 years later, hearing that song now, I look at it through a different lens, as an adult man.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the themes, he may have been talking about addiction. He may have been talking about who knows. But as a grown man, some of the themes in that song and some of the things he says resonates with me now,
Mm-hmm.
but in a different way than that 14-year-old.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think songs and music that sticks with you that long is pretty cool. So it's a really cool thing. But that was my number one pick, Nutshell from Alice in Chains.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I'll say this before I go into my list.
Break Stuff from Limp Bizkit.
No. Although they might be on my list. So that's why I'm going to go over the list before I go to the list and explain my head frame. When you sent me the list, I wasn't sure whether you meant like that. It hit me every time you put you in your feels. If that's what you meant, or you just meant like, this goes hard every time. Like this song
because
just hits.
you actually text me back and said that might be a little hard. I listen to a lot of sad music.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure. So I made a list that would kind of cover both, just to make sure that I was on the same page. So the first one I'll go and I'll put, and the reason I think this one hits me so hard and puts me in my feels every time is because, especially recently, I feel like this song relates to me now, and when I hear the lyrics, I'm like, this is exactly how I feel now and what I've been going through, and just, so that's why it hits me the most now. Yeah. But that's Freezing in November by Max McNown. He's a new artist that's kind of up and coming, and so that Freezing in November, I think I sent it to you guys to listen to a few weeks ago. So right now I've been listening to a lot of that, but that mostly the reason I put that is because, like I said, he basically put in words a lot of what I'm feeling and things that I'm going through. So
it's a really good song.
Yep.
It's real good. Me and Nicole sat in here and listened to it a couple times with the lights down low and the stereo up. It's a really good song.
So yeah, that was my number one pick.
All right. My number two, I can't do a list without including Pearl Jam. So as I'm going through the 100 and however many Pearl Jam songs, it's hard to narrow down one that really hits me, but kind of like Nutshell from Alice in Chains, I went back to where my love for Pearl Jam started. Release from Tim. It's the last track on the album, on their first album. It's kind of Eddie's version of, dealing with what he dealt with his father and growing up, and just, it's like this outcry of just release me from this, release me from this. But as much as Eddie's voice and lyrics in that song have moved me throughout the years, it's the music in it, because it starts off so slow and so quiet, and as each verse goes, it just gets it just builds and builds and builds into this crescendo of a grown man just wailing, saying, "Release me from this, release me," and it's such a powerful song. And a lot of times, I know on the Let's Play 2 documentary, he actually talks about a guy in the crowd who just lost his father. And he played the song for that guy and sang it for that guy, and he made sure, you can see it in that documentary, he made sure that dude was paying attention and in it, and it's just such a powerful, moving song for me. So that's my number two, Pearl Jam's Release.
All right. Number two, and I'll explain the reason it does. Well, first I'll say what it is. It's Gracie by Ben Folds. This is one of my favorite Ben Folds songs. I heard it. It's about him and his daughter, and I always thought, if I ever have a daughter, I want this to be our relationship and her song. And Tatum's middle name is Grace, off of Gracie.
Oh, wow.
That's where that came from. So anytime I hear that song, I just kind of relate it to Tatum, and so
That
that
is
one
super cool.
hits every time just because of that. So that was kind of a personal reason that one was on there. But so yeah, Gracie by Ben Folds is.
Man, I mean, that's what music is, though. It's personal.
Yep.
It's personal for the person that wrote it, and it's when it's put out there for us to hear. We make our own interpretations of it, and it's personal for us. That's a really cool story.
Yep.
My third, I had a lot of trouble picking a third.
Okay.
So it's kind of a little different for what I would normally say.
Okay.
But it's called The Muse, and it's from the Zac Brown Band.
Okay.
And it's on the Grohl sessions when Dave Grohl produced their album. From the first time I heard that song, it I don't know, it grabbed me. And you know how you can romanticize things in your own mind when it comes to relationships you have or whatever. He's talking about in this song, he's constantly referring back to the muse. He talks about sitting on the edge of the bed and strumming a guitar and looking, across the doorway and seeing what you would think was either his wife or his girlfriend or whatever, but she was his muse. And then it talks about sitting at the bar, and how he's so thankful for that drink he's about to take, and then he thinks about the muse that is at home. And then the song ends with him sitting in a hospital room, and they're about to give birth to their child. And none of it would have been possible without his muse. And I've always, ever since the first time I heard that song, I've always thought of Nicole. And so that song, I know it's an odd choice for what I would normally pick, but I don't know, that song just really speaks to me and moves me every time I hear it. I love it. I love that song. So that's my third pick.
Well, I should have put my other pick with your third pick since you ended on a good note, because I ended mine on a.
Oh, my honorable mentions are not.
Okay, well that makes me feel a little bit better then, because I put my third one, and the reason I put this on the list because I wasn't sure if we kind of meant the other way. So
This is break stuff.
This is the Roland Urban Assault Vehicle by Limp Bizkit.
Rolling.
But
What?
the version Urban Assault Vehicle, that one that goes hard every time. And
Oh,
if you're in a
yeah.
bad mood, that's kind of a workout rage song, and it's kind of awfully dirty. It's got Redman and Method Man in there, so it's pretty graphic. But that's anytime I'm in a bad mood or just want to rage, that's my go-to, and hits every time because it just kind of
Move in to move out. Hands up, the hands down. Back up. Tell me what you gonna do
That's it.
now.
That's it.
Rolling. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Rolling by Limp Bizkit, Urban Assault Vehicle.
But that song
Yeah.
hit you emotionally.
Yeah.
I mean, it
When you're
gets
wanting
you
to rage.
going.
For sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so my honorable mentions. I don't have that. I stayed on my topic, but on how I
Yours.
thought.
Okay.
But I like that. It's awesome. You're BA, man. All right, honorable mention. So just to be clear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wrote 8 down.
Oh wow.
I'm not going to give all 8.
Okay, I did 2.
I'm going to save some of them. But when I started doing this, I couldn't stop because it's like, I mean, Nicole will tell you, I always want everybody to feel what I feel yeah. But like the songs just kept coming and I didn't know where to stop. So I picked for an honorable mention, I'll do 2. The first one is going to be a song from a band that I have a very weird love-hate relationship with, Weezer.
Okay.
The name of the song is Heart Songs. It's off the Red album. Have you ever heard it?
I think so.
I love this song. Nostalgia. It's him talking about the music that throughout his life has touched him, up until the point where he hears an album with a naked baby on the front, and how that inspired him to be like, "Hey, we can do this."
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really cool song for a Weezer song. It's I mean, it's called Heart Songs, and it's like we could have named this list Heart Songs, I guess. So that was my first honorable mention.
Okay.
What you got?
My first honorable mention was one of those that kind of puts
Pantera's Walk.
that was close to being on the list. Just missed it.
Nice.
This one I put on there because it kind of puts you, is kind of sad to reminisce and kind of put you in your feels when you listen to it. But it's by Ron Pope, and it's The Good Old Days. So basically talking about, you're always in a hurry for, to get things moving and going, and always in a rush, and you kind of miss the things, and you always look back and say, oh, those were the good old days. Well, the good old days are happening now, so enjoy them while you can, and all that stuff. I know you've seen, where they're like, oh, the fingerprints on the glass and all that stuff. Enjoy that, like little kids' fingerprints and stuff, like the messes and stuff. Like, of course, in everyday life, you're like, oh, another mess to clean up and that kind of stuff. But when you're older, it's like you miss that, you miss the mess and miss all the things. So kind of what the song's about, like the good old days, but they're happening right now. Like, don't enjoy them now instead of looking back on them later.
There's a line in The Office on the last episode, I think, where Andy says something along the lines of, "Why didn't somebody tell you that you're in the good old days when you're actually in them?"
Right.
Yeah,
Instead of reminiscing.
I butchered that, but
Yeah.
it's the same sentiment.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
Which one you gonna pick?
Gosh, I don't know.
Might just have
dude. All right. So, here, hold it up. All right. It's not what I would have picked, but it's called "Falling Slowly" by Glenn Hansard.
Okay.
I don't know much about. I know it was written for a movie. I love Glenn Hansard. I think he's a great songwriter.
He is.
I can't do that for my last honorable mention. I just can't.
Okay, pick a different one.
I'm picking a different one. It's a great song though, "Falling Slowly," if you hadn't heard it. I'm gonna pick Chloe Dancer, "Crown of Thorns" from Mother Love Bone. Yeah, they're up top there. The first time I heard this song, it was on the single soundtrack, and my cousin JD and I, somehow we were with his parents at Walmart, and he wanted a new CD. And I think it was either Alice in Chains' "Dirt" or the single soundtrack. And I already had Alice in Chains, so I used my Jedi mind trick to make him buy the single soundtrack. So that's the first time I'd heard that song, was on that album. And it's very, forgive me if you're, it's very dated. Very glam, intro, the way Andrew Wood sings and everything. But it is a precursor to, I think, what Pearl Jam ended up being. But the song, if you've not heard it, I don't know if you've heard it
I
or
don't know if
not.
I have it or not.
Super,
I heard your other one, the Glenn Hansard one, but
yeah, I'm sorry. It's a super ballad. I mean, very ballady, beautiful song. But it just starts out with Andrew Wood and the piano, and then it melds into this whole other thing that just kind of builds and builds and builds until it just explodes. Really good song. And not lyrically it doesn't hit me at all. I have no idea what he's even talking about. But musically, the way the music moves and everything, love it. Gets me going.
all right. All right. Well, my other honorable mention, I put it in there, and it's I was close too, but that one just missed. And I put this one on here because this is kind of me and Hudson's go-to when I try to pump him up before a soccer game or something. We're going to a soccer tournament. I usually play this on the way to the game, and I don't know if they do it this year or not, but Nashville Soccer Club used to play this while they warmed up as well, the professional team in Nashville. But "God's Gonna Cut You Down" by Johnny Cash.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of like his, when I try to get him pumped up, that's kind of his pump up song. So I always, when I try to get him pumped up, that's what I always play. So that's kind of hits me because that's what I always think of when I listen to it or hear it is him. So that's why I put that one on there.
That's very cool. Very cool. You have a way better taste in music than I do.
Oh,
No, you do. Trust me.
way different. I don't know about better, but
It's better. I mean, it's way better. So, yeah.
do you have a pick of the week?
You're going to have to go first on pick of the week.
Okay, I'll go first. And I honestly changed it about an hour ago. from what I had picked when I wrote this or whatever about 2 weeks ago. So
Is it a song or an album?
an album.
Okay.
Well, it's an EP. It's only 4 songs. But it's a new band that I've only found like the last month or so. I've been listening to a lot of this week. I didn't put them on my list to do for some reason, but listened to them a lot for this week. I think I sent you one of their songs. Brother Joe is the song that I sent you. But
Yes.
but
Yes, you did.
That's not on this actual EP. They
Oh,
have
my
I've heard
gosh.
5 songs by them. 4 that are on this EP, and then that's like a single. But the EP I put on there. So the band
Wait. What's the band?
the band is Old 60. OLE Old 60.
Dude, Brother Joe is intense.
Very, very intense.
It's
Very,
so
very sad song.
good.
But yeah, so that's the
Oh.
song. That's the single. But the pick of the week is Old 60. Their 4-song EP is called 324. And so that was my pick of the week. Is their EP. Yeah, that's probably gonna be homework next week for you to listen to that.
You won't have to do homework. I'll do it on my own
All right, yeah.
without the
So
homework.
Old 60. So if you can come up with a pick of the week.
Man, I can't wait for that. Well, here's the thing with my pick of the week. I was like, what Pearl Jam album have I not picked? So, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm still gonna try to get more people to listen to Pearl Jam. I think the new album is gonna be a good mix of those 2 albums, Riot Act and Avocado.
Mm-hmm.
Have you listened to either one of those?
A little bit. I don't think I've ever listened to the whole. I think I have Avocado. I think I've listened to the whole album there. Riot Act, I have not.
Okay, Riot Act is it.
Okay.
All right, Riot Act is probably, they've got 11 albums out right now. This will be the 12th. If I were to rank them from the best to worst, Riot Act would probably be the second to last one. It's not my favorite album of theirs by any means. There are some really good gems on it. But I really think the new album's gonna kind of mesh those 2 styles together a little bit.
Okay.
So Riot Act from Pearl Jam is gonna be my pick of the week this week. And I promise you by April 19th, after Dark Matter is the pick of the week that week, I'll stop doing Pearl Jam.
Maybe it'll be out almost all of them, I think. You've already done
I can start recycling here. But anyways, that's my pick.
All right. Great.
So, Trent,
No, nothing else. Glad to be back.
it's glad to have you back.
We're gonna record again end of this week for next week. So
End of this
get
week,
the
and
routine back in order.
Nicole, thank you for filling in for 10 minutes or so.
I joked with them beforehand that she should just fill in for me. We got 300% viewer increase, and she recorded instead of me. So you guys can let us know you want me to leave again and her fill in. That's fine. I'll push the start button.
I don't want you to leave and her take over though.
We got more viewers that way, so
Well,
I'm sorry.
whatever.
You guys did good.
Whatevs.
Yeah, you guys sent me a message. They're like, should I post it or not? If you don't want me to post it, I'm like, I don't care. And you're like, at least watch it before we post it. And I watched it. I was like, you guys did awesome. Y'all did really good.
That was fun.
And then you did a little bloopers at the end.
Yeah, that's the thing that Trent doesn't want me to put in is our bloopers,
Okay.
which I don't blame him, but actually I do. Whatever. One day I'm gonna sneak them in anyways.
Probably.
But check out the eBay store,
PipeDreamRecords23.com.
and again, April 20th, we're taking a road trip.
Yep.
Let us know. Get on the Record Store Day website. Let us know if you're looking for anything, and we'll do our best to secure it for you.
Sure.
And thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you at the end of the week.
Have a good one. See you guys.
Howdy!